Hey guys, what's up? Chris Blum here with another video in the hidden cost series, and today I'm going to talk about tenant improvements. So tenant improvements are typically negotiated during the proposal, and an agreement is pretty well established before a lease is signed. However, there are certain circumstances that can arise that allow tenant improvements to become an unexpected cost to you as a tenant. The first would be not protecting yourself as a tenant and how the costs of the tenant improvements are allocated. So there's two ways that tenant improvements are typically done. One, the landlord agrees to turnkey the property or to pay for all of the improvements. The second is a tenant improvement allowance, where they give you a certain amount of money up front to be put towards these costs. Now, in either case, costs can go overboard. In the turnkey situation, if it's something that was agreed to be done, then the landlord takes the burden of this cost. But in the tenant allowance situation, the tenant would be on the hook. So rising construction costs or changing tenant needs could add cost to the build out. Now in the turnkey situation, there are still situations that it could allow for increased costs. As I just mentioned before, changing tenant needs. Typically there's a pretty detailed work letter signed between the tenant and the landlord as to what is agreed to. So if the tenant changes their mind on what they need, whether it's the number of offices or the quality of the materials, this can add an increase through a change order. Now the solution here is to fully understand and make sure you're clear with both parties as to what is being agreed to, the materials that will be used, and have all of this decided before construction begins. And if you are in the situation where you've agreed to a tenant allowance, perhaps you're a more sophisticated tenant that wants to oversee the work and have your own team handling the work, make sure that you've properly allocated for all of the costs that can come up. The GC costs, architect costs, construction costs, and all of the materials that you want to put into the space. Now the second situation that can lead to increased costs with tenant improvements is not allocating enough time for them to be completed. Especially in my area where the construction labor market is extremely tight, it can be hard for projects to deliver on time. So it's important that you've allocated enough time between when your lease ends and when the work is to finish at your new location to allow for a seamless transition. Usually I recommend leaving a month or two of contingency in case things go over schedule. If not properly managed, you can end up in a situation where you're paying holdover rent at your old location, which is typically 150 to 200% of your normal rent. So clearly this is something you want to avoid. I hope this quick video on tenant improvements and the unexpected costs that can arise was helpful. And as always, if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. If you're enjoying the videos, give them a like and subscribe.